can throw to Josh at Tungamah with going through barley fungicide strategies.
Morning all, morning all. We're coming from a foggy Tungamah this morning. It's lifted a little bit, and so we can actually see. When I walked out the door this morning, couldn't see 3 metres in front of me. As Labo said, I've got the Katandra gun footballer here, centre half forward with me, Tom Jeffries. He's doing the tech part of the operation. So yeah, good luck, Tom. Hopefully it all goes well. Standing in one of my paddocks here, just north of Tungamah, Planet Barley, sown into a retained Planet stubble on the 17th of April. We've sown it with 90 kilos of seed into good moisture, 100 kilos of MAP with 200 mils of flutriafol to the hectare. To date, it's had 220 kilos of urea in 2 applications. It's had a Prosaro at Z30 with some broadleaf control at 150 mils. And it's also had 150 mils of Modus at Z31. The crop, it's done really well. It's running ahead of schedule. It's at Z37 now. The majority of the tillers, just the flag leaf, just poking out or fully extended. And rainfall to date, 379 mils at my place for the year and 228 mils of growing season rainfall. So yeah, as you can see, we've got a big canopy there. Perfect crop growth conditions to date, and we've got a perfect storm for fungicidal diseases to be taking off as we head into the spring when it warms up. Behind us here, we've got the IKC RD&E site. It's got a fungicide matrix. Tom and I went through that yesterday. The products have been out about 2 weeks and there's sort of not a lot to see there. So we decided we'd go and grab a few plants from just around my farm to show, to demonstrate a bit of what we're sort of going to be looking at as the season progresses. So this one's just, I grabbed it out of a sheep feed pad area. Obviously germinated really early. You can see it's out in head there. And we've got plenty of disease. This has had no flutriafol on it, and the disease has sort of worked its way up from the bottom of the canopy, and it's bubbled its way all the way up to the top of the canopy there. So we've got a bit of spot form and net blotch, probably a little bit of net form and net blotch. There may have been some scald. They're probably the 3 ones that we're going to talk about today. This is from a paddock of Planet sown just a few days later than the one that we're in, but it's been grazed. So as you can see, the grazing certainly held that plant back. This one's had no Prosaro on it yet. It's at about Z32, which is about the perfect timing, or the first timing that we need for our application of fungicide, in my opinion. We need to be able to get the fungicide into the plant before the canopy closes over to control some of these little blotches that are starting to form here. So some of you will have crops at that stage. Some of you might have crops that are like this one here that we're standing in. This has had the full package. As I said before, it's had flutriafol, it's had Prosaro, and it's going to have an aviator on it in the next few days once the flag leaf's fully out. So not a lot of disease to show here. The Prosaro, there was a little bit when we sprayed it at Z30. Prosaro's done a good job of controlling that at 150 mils. As you can see there, there's a little bit of armyworm damage as well. So that's probably something to keep an eye out for as the season progresses, I suppose. So we found a couple in here the other day, and we'll just keep monitoring those. We may have to do a little spray there later on at head emergence. So Tom's just going to flick to a couple of the slides that we've prepared here. This is the first one's the variety disease ratings for the current varieties that we're growing, the main 3 varieties we're growing in the area. As you can see there, there's not a lot of R's or MRs on there. They're mostly S's and VS's for the diseases that we're chasing. So the plants aren't going to help us. We need to formulate a good disease program going forward, I suppose. So that's what we need to really be mindful of. Next slide, current fungicide options that we've got at our disposal, and we've highlighted a couple here. Prosaro, which is prothioconazole and tebuconazole. It's got great activity across a wide range of diseases that we're looking at, and also Aviator, which is bixafen and prothioconazole. So they're probably the two products of choice that we've got at our disposal at the moment. There's a couple of more new ones coming through, but we just haven't had much exposure to them so far. The third slide is just going to indicate where the sweet spot is for Aviator, and also the fact that in this trial that Bayer conducted a couple of years ago, we saw a big increase in spot form of net blotch control with Aviator over Prosaro, and also tilt. And the sweet spot, we reckon, for Aviator is around that 300 to 400 mils per hectare, and that's going to give you really good activity on all of the diseases that we're sort of chasing. A couple of take-home messages from today. Yeah, we've improved our barley management over the last 10 years, and having well thought out, well planned and managed fungicide programs has certainly increased our yields, and we're getting the most out of barley by doing that. Probably the two critical timings, that Z32 timing. If your crops are there at this stage, you've got a little bit of disease kicking around, get something in there. If you've got flutriafol underneath, Prosaro at 150 mils is probably good enough at that stage. The second critical timing about that Z37. So we want to protect that top of the plant, and probably Aviator's product of choice there. It'll give you that stay green effect, which will ultimately lead into high grain size, high grain weight, and ultimately yield, I suppose. A trial we did in 2005 in a similar sort of year. It was a little bit later start, but we had sort of similar canopies and disease pressure. We ended up increasing our yield by using flutriafol and one fungicide application by 1.8 tonnes to the hectare in barley. So that's a pretty big yield increase. Spend of about $34 a hectare, and we turned that into $360 a hectare in that year with barley at $200. So yeah, don't just ignore it. Need to keep monitoring your crops, and if we can plan the right program, I'm sure we can reap some good yields this year. Hopefully the rain keeps coming and the frosts stay away, particularly in this paddock. Thanks, guys.
That is comprehensive. Jeez.
Thanks,
Using
mate.
any different strategies for your Spartacus versus Planet, or you're treating them similarly disease-wise?
I think so, Lovo. You saw on that slide that there's probably Scold, it's SBS, spot form net blotch SBS versus Planet at S's. So yeah, I'd just treat them all the same. The spot form is the most common one in our area. So yeah, I think that program is pretty bulletproof. If we follow it and get our timings right, I think we'll get a good result. So
your own crop, your impact, then you're doing two foliars.
Yeah, mate. Yep. Well, we generally will work on the season. If it dries out, that second foliar, probably not. But the way the season's going this year, we'll definitely be putting it out, mate. So yeah, yep. All
right, a couple of questions from the audience.
Should low levels of armyworm be sprayed now or left till head emergence?
That's a question. If you're going over the paddock and you want to save yourself a pass, you can knock out some numbers now, but I think there'll be some more development as the season warms up. So yeah, I'm probably tending to leave it till later on, I think. So that we're gonna get a few more pupate and hatch out. We might get some more flights coming in. So they're not doing a lot of damage now, just nibbling away at the leaves. So I'd probably leave it till head emergence, I reckon. Yep.
Second question, what timing was the one spray in the 2016 trial?
Oh, you got any comments on that, Lobo?
32, I think.
32. Yep.
So about now. You know, all our barleys, we generally try to get done late July, early August. That's a really good presentation, mate. You've done well.
Buddy.
All right.
See.
All the best.